Coming up next on Get Caught in a Net.
Get caught in a net with a net. For your mind, body, and soul. Get caught in a net with a net. It's your intellectual radio show. Here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with a net.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette, where your hosts, Annette Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need Annette? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Hey guys, great afternoon and welcome to another wonderful segment of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. I'm your girl, Annette Harris, the host of Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. I am the CEO of Get Caught in a Net, certified mental health ambassador, and award-winning author of that bestseller, Surviving a Silenced Heartbeat. If you have not gotten your copy of it, please make sure you head over to Amazon, Walmart. We're all over Books A Million. If you're in the Chicago area, we are at DuSable Museum of African American History. I always have to remember the full title of it. And in their bookstore, and also at the bookstore of my own church, Abounding Life, Church of God in Christ. So you can't miss it. All right, we are going to hop in here. We're going to pray and ask God to bless us. Lord, we thank you for all things. We thank you for who you are, how you are, what you've done, what you're doing, how you're blessing and helping us. And we thank you for every month being able to talk about our health and wellness. Oh God, we pray that you would get the glory out of this segment. Anoint Dr. Hill for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. In the opening part of Hosea 4:6 states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. And what do I always say? If you see my face around 12 noon Central Standard Time on a Wednesday, it's time for you to come on in and get caught in the net. We are going to bring Dr. Hill in from the background, but I do want to encourage you to make sure that you tag individuals into this live feed, whether they watch it live or come back and watch it on the rebroadcast. They will be able to do so. And also we are live on Facebook, Net Get Caught in the Net, live on Instagram, Get Caught in the Net, YouTube, Get Caught in the Net. And you shouldn't miss us. You can tag individuals directly into it. And please make sure you click the share button, the thumbs up, the heart, the care button, if you would not mind doing that for us on today. Let me go ahead and bring Dr. Hill in. We are excited to see her another month. We had to skip last month and we were crying, but we're happy that she's back. We're happy she's back with us on today. Dr. Hill is a busy woman. We understand that. And she has been really busy lately. And so we understand that, sometimes she may not be able to come with us for that month, but we are grateful that she's here this month. Dr. Hill, how are you feeling?
I am feeling, I'm feeling better. I'm not as tired as I was. I was wore out.
Well, I'm glad you're better.
Yeah, I am. I'm more, invigorated and not as we used to say before you were born, not as whipped as as I was. So I'm doing well. God is blessed and I'm doing well.
That was interesting, but okay. Well, I'm glad. And we know that you're doing work for the kingdom and God is blessing you. Real quick, before we get into our segment on today, can you give a brief recap? There was a wonderful segment that you had on last Wednesday, which is the reason why we couldn't, well, not last week was not the reason. Well, yeah, it is, because this is the fifth. Well, this is the fifth Wednesday of this month. So we pushed Dr. Hill back to this day. And can you tell us why? What happened occurred on last week?
Well, on last week uh, we hosted Apostle Alan Laguerre, uh, who is a philanthropist, a historian, a Haitian and America, their relationship. He is a historian in that area.
Oh,
And
wow.
because of what is going on at girl, every time we go to Haiti, he teaches us something different and exposes us to some more, some more history between America and Haiti. And it is just, he is just fantastic. And then we had Samantha Daguerre, who is an attorney, and I chose her because I remember the attorneys that we had in the young attorneys that we had in the 60s when we were going through the civil rights movement. And I chose her because she has that spirit. She's in
Mm.
that age range. And she has that spirit that the attorneys had then. We had SNCC, which was a bunch of young people. I almost said kids, but a bunch of young people. And then we had attorneys that were training and teaching the young attorneys what to do
Mhm.
and how to do it and how to defend, that those that were in that active in that civil rights movement. And so I chose her because she had that spirit and that anointing. And then we had our special guest, a special honored guest, which was Representative, uh, the word my mind just went blank, Representative Justin Pearson.
Yes.
Yeah, and everybody was excited, and he did not. Uh, he was nobody wanted to end, nobody wanted to leave, and then they wanted to know, well, when is he coming back?
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. I was able to after my segment last Wednesday, I was able to hop on. I think it was probably maybe like 1 o'clock, a little bit after one last week, and I was able to listen in. And it was from what I was able to come in on and listen to through the end, it was very um it was very good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it tremendously, and listening to the different, individuals speak. I was last week years old learning about Apostle Alan Laguerre and, all that he does. I had no clue. But it was good to hear that, and of course, it was always good to hear from attorney Samantha. I did have her on my show. Well, it was like maybe a few days prior to her graduation earlier this year, and it was good to hear her and hear from that generation's perspective as well. It was great all around. I mean, kudos to you. You did a wonderful job organizing and get it together. Whoever else was in your team helping you, it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful, and I think, yeah, we need to have it again, or you need to have it again when you're able to.
His assistant and I, that's not her title. I just call her his assistant. But she is, we have just kind of bonded together. We just kind of bonded together. Just a wonderful, wonderful young woman. And I would be remiss, 'cause I'm saying, prefacing this with her, because she told me to be sure to tell my daughter Brandy, to tell her that she was impeccable, she was awesome, she gave her these wonderful
Beautiful.
accolades. She did a wonderful job. I was thrown off. I was thrown off and couldn't get back on
Oh,
when
I mean,
when
you
we
literally thrown off.
literally thrown off. We had a couple of special guests. They were Trumpers. And so when I came on the platform, they were already on the platform. And when we got settled and got ready to really go, we had maybe 25 people that were there, that probably came in at the same time that they came in. And
Mm.
they began, this woman got right in my face. Now, I don't know, we're on Zoom, right? She got right in my face as if we were in the same room in the same position. And she started using some names that I don't know if I used them when I wasn't saved. And then there was a gentleman with her, and he was cutting up. I mean, they were cutting up. And so instead of Brandy silencing them, she shut the platform down. She shut it down. And
Yeah.
which was good because they couldn't get back in, even though there were some that could not get back in because we didn't know who they were. But when we came back in, those that we knew were on, and we definitely let them know that the platform was back open and to please come. And so by that time, I didn't know where my not resumes, where those things that you read,
Oh,
bios. There you
bios.
go.
Right.
I didn't know where my bios were. I didn't, so I just started ad-libbing.
Wow. So it must have been pretty intense for her to totally shut it down, because I know typically you can just kick them out. And if you kick them out, they can't get back in.
Oh, you might
Um,
have a conversation with Brandy.
oh, no, no, I'm just saying, I was saying that it
No,
must have been pretty intense for her to decide to go ahead and shut it down. That's what I'm
it,
saying.
it was extremely intense.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, because if we had been on a physical platform in the same room, this is how intense it was. It's funny. Apostle had me laughing from Florida. Apostle, I don't know why my mind is pulling up blanks. But he does the Sunday night BTV,
Okay.
and he said, if I if this is one of those times that if I could have just got my hands around their necks,
Wow.
was, it was really crazy. It was wild. It was crazy. And I don't think she was aware that you could kick them out. I know she was aware that you could mute their phones.
Right.
But they were carrying on and they were so animated until they would have had everybody's attention instead of,
Yeah.
us being able to do what we needed to do. So she just shut it down.
We'll shut it down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
So
is a way to, if you're the moderator and
yes.
if you're in control of the controls, an individual, you can totally kick them out, and they can't get back in unless unless they reach out to you and say, hey, please let me back in or something like that. But they wouldn't have known to reach back out, and then she probably wouldn't have accepted them back in. But it's okay, because even I know you were saying, I think you mentioned that you had more that came on initially, as opposed to when you had to restart it. But God knows all things, and those who were able to get back on, that was for them. So, I believe, again, it was a very well addressed session that you had, and it definitely was something that was needed. But yeah, I just want to ask you about that, guys. We're not going to talk about, that's not going to be the extent of our session on today. Today's topic, we're talking with Dr. Shirley Hill. Of course, we try to have her on monthly for health and wellness. And today's segment title, what is generational health? Health. I put wealth in one of my other things. Anyway, what is generational health, and how do we restore it? What is generational health, and how do we restore it? Now, Dr. Hill, and you want me to throw that question out initially before you
Yes,
begin?
yes, I do.
Okay. So what we want you guys to do, be nice. Be nice, okay? Be nice. And type in, or you can engage with us, but typing in will probably help. What your favorite foods are,
Mhm.
and or your most eaten food, the foods that you eat a lot, your favorite foods. Dr. Hill wants to know that on today. So I'm going to type that into the comment section so that you guys will not forget the question. And, and then with those that are coming in, they can see it as well. But we want to know, or Dr. Hill wants to know, what's your most favorite food and or the food that you eat the most? Please share that with us on today. Because again, we're talking about generational health and how we need to restore it. So that will be the question on today. So Dr. Hill, let's get a little background about this title as we normally do, and then we can kind of segue into the actual topic at hand.
Well, I was, my mind has been going so many different ways until something sparked my mind, took my attention in that direction, generational health, and it my pattern of thinking was that if we don't come to the place where we understand that what we do, it will affect the coming generations and their time on this planet, then we're not going, as a species, we're not going to last very long. And that's where, that's where this pattern of thinking came from. Restoring generational health through the pathway of through this particular pathway, the chemistry of food and its relation. I'm just throwing everything and the kitchen sink in
Okay.
here. And so, oh Lordy Jesus.
And I know that it's a lot that you see, especially
Mhm.
on a daily basis, that kind of make your mind is like, oh my God, what are they doing? What are they eating? How is this affecting them? So I'm sure that's probably why you said your mind was like everywhere. You're grasping, because I'm sure
Yeah,
you see a lot.
yes, absolutely. Now I'm going to say to you, say that title again. I've probably confused everyone that is listening and watching.
um, we have the title and it's on the screen, guys. What is generational health and how do we restore it? How do we restore it? So obviously, it maybe it's lost.
Generational health is what we pass down from generation to generation. And so most of us will wonder, probably we have at some time or another realized that, have maybe not realized why, but we've heard the doctor say that, give us the test that said, did your mother have breast cancer? Did your aunt have breast cancer? Does cancer or does high blood pressure run in your lineage? And then they take you back because they want to know, can they, your children, your children's children, is this a disease or a condition that will be passed down to them?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, we never even think about future generations when We are doing what we're doing when we're eating what we're eating. We don't think about future generations. And what we do is mindless eating.
Mm.
We do mindless eating. And I was thinking about, I was having this conversation. I was having this conversation with God, and I was going back in the garden. And I said, we got in all of this trouble because of a conversation over a meal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much.
All, yeah. All of this difficulty that we find ourselves in, all of the sin, all of the death, all of the things that have ensued that um, since that thing that played out in the garden in the beginning, it took place the process took place over a conversation and a meal. Uh, Eve was having a conversation with somebody that she didn't have any business talking to. And they were having a conversation about food, that this tree, in the wrong manner in which they should have been talking about it, because God said, don't eat from this tree.
Yeah.
So why are we having a conversation about eating from this tree? Is that a conversation we should be having?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Is it a conversation that I should be having with somebody that I shouldn't even be talking to in the first place?
Yeah.
Does he have any business asking me about what it is that God told me to do or not to do? How is that your business? And so we find that we do the same thing today. Mindless. See, because she put herself in a position where she was mindless.
Mm.
Even though it would appear that she was not, because she was asking, they were having interactions, and she was asking what would appear, she was responding to the right questions, and all this, that, and the other. But her mind wasn't functioning because the serpent said, has God not told you that you shouldn't eat from this tree? He said, oh, you can't believe him. Because the reason you can't believe him, because in the day that you eat from this tree, and the day you have this meal, you're going to be like him. You're going to be like God. You're going to know good and evil. You're going to know. And I thought to myself, okay, you were already God. You were
Mm.
already a God. Your father was God. The father, you are what your daddy are. I know that's not grammatical.
I get it. I understand.
You are what your daddy are. And therefore, she was already God.
Mm.
And so then she is here having a mindless conversation with someone that knows her better than he had um, identified her weakness. He knew whatever it was that was causing her not to be where she should have been, which is where um no, he wasn't. I started to say that the Adam was walking with God, taking a walk with God, getting trained and all of that. But he wasn't. He was over under a tree watching the whole scenario play out.
Right.
And he wasn't even taking his position. So everybody was out of place. Everybody was mindless. Everybody was being led astray, which set the consequences of this generation. Because think about it. When she ate from that tree and she gave it to Adam, that began the generational process.
Yeah.
That was the beginning.
Mm.
And they were not in the darkness, because God said, in the day that you eat from this tree now, all the trees in the garden, they could pick from.
Yeah.
But this tree here is not edible. The plants or the fruit on this tree is not edible. That's what God was saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not edible. And so if you eat from this tree, then you're going to die because the fruit that is on this tree is not edible.
Yeah.
That's a genetic thing. That's a genetic thing because the tree of life gave life, right? It produced
Right.
life. Its seed, its gene, everything about it produced life. This tree, its genes, its seeds, everything about it produced death. And so that in the day that you eat of it, you will surely die. They did not drop dead on the ground. God didn't come walking through the garden and find them laying on the ground dead.
Right.
Uh, but there was a genetic alteration, a genetic change that took place in their body because when they ate from the tree, they did that because they switched off the gene that gave them perpetual life and they switched on a death gene, which I don't believe they had until they ate from that tree.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the process of time, they died, and in the process of time, everyone that has come behind them has died. And so, but I don't think that that is inevitable. I don't think that it's inevitable. And let me make a difference here. Transitioning, transition, and death are not the same process. It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There, there's a saying, and it is everybody's gonna die with something. And if you believe that, you will be the one that dies with something.
Was something right.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
yeah, but everybody is not destined to die with something because not everybody goes through the death process, the process of sickness and disease. We're supposed to make a transition. We're supposed to step through a door and step out of this realm, this physical realm where we now have physical bodies. Well, when it's time to transition, we step out of these physical bodies and then we step over into eternity, which is another realm, which is an eternal realm. And then these physical bodies, what they are supposed to do is to go back to the soil and replenish the soil with with the nutritional value of the body. Those components should go back in the soil, replenishing the soil and starting the cycle over again.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Listen, let me jump in real quick, and I just want to tell you guys that are coming in, who have joined us. We're at the bottom of the hour. This is our monthly health and wellness segment. Please don't get thrown off. We did push it back a week. There are 5 Wednesdays in October this year, but we have Dr. Hill on today, and our topic of discussion again is what is generational health and how do we restore it? It's at the bottom of your screen. What is generational health and how do we restore it? So she was just giving us a little bit of background and talking about generational health, if you will, and breaking it down so eloquently for us, because sometimes you don't think about when you went back to the beginning of in Genesis and then the garden and everything, you don't think about it like that. That's where it originated. You know what I mean? You brought us some very good points there that I was kind of, I didn't think about that. But this is what we're talking about on today. And please make sure that you share, love, like, thumbs up, the heart button, if you would not mind tagging individuals directly into this live feed, because they will either be able to watch it live or they can come back and watch the broadcast. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube currently. And I do want to recognize some of you that did hop in. I thank you, Farron, author Farron, for joining us. We appreciate you. And also Annie Howard. How are you, big sis? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you as well. There are other names that I did see pop up. You didn't say anything, but I see your name. So thank you, Kristen, for coming in. I think Lady Beverly Woodard joined us earlier. I did mention Kristen, right? My publisher. And of course, also Latoya, my little niece. Thanks for coming in. I do see you guys over on Instagram as well. Is that my cousin Zori? Thank you for coming in. You may be on a lunch break. I don't know if you hopped off or not, but thank you for joining us on today as well. We appreciate you. The question that Dr. Hill did have for us on today, please make sure that you list your favorite food and or the foods that you eat the most. List your favorite foods and or the foods that you eat the most. Of course, she wants to address it. She wants to talk about this and tie this into our topic again, generational health, and how we are going to restore this. We're gonna restore it. We're gonna restore it. All right. I love you more, Toya. Thank you, sweetie. Appreciate you. So yeah, Dr. Hill, I don't know what route you want to go, because I don't have anyone who's been brave enough to write down their favorite foods or what they eat the most. I don't know if you want to start talking about something else. I'm sorry, Dr. Hill. Somebody just put theirs in. They said chicken, cake, and fruit.
Yeah.
Chicken, cake, and fruit. Hon, I'm just about there with you, Well, cake, I'm a little iffy on, but yeah, but go ahead.
Well, I wanted to start with at the tree. I wanted to start at the tree with the fruit of that tree, and to cause us to understand that food has a cause and an effect when it comes to disorder and disease in the body. Now, I've probably mentioned this a couple of times the last 2 months, because it's still so fresh in my mind. The young lady that had I had been working with the cancer over a period of time, and a couple of times we got her down to 0 count, or the count is normally 7, and then they'll say that you are in remission.
Right.
And she had been there a couple of times. So she started out with breast cancer and then went to Mexico. And as her girlfriend said, put everything in her mouth that would fit in there.
Okay.
And so when she came back, of course, and she called me, the stem cells had been switched back on. And now she had a brain tumor. And they were trying to put her in hospice. The hospice that they were trying to put her in is the one where they let you, not the palliative care, but the hospice where they allow you to, they allow you to die. And so I told the son, bring her home. I promise I'll be there every day, and I'll take care of her, and we'll get this under control. And he did that. And so then by the holidays, it was summer. It was about this, it was summer when she came back from the vacation, and then they realized that she had this tumor, and so forth and so on. And so they brought her home, and I went over every morning before he left to go to work. I was at the house, took care of her all day, made sure her food, whatever she ate, it was because I prepared it and gave it to her, took care of her hand and foot. And then it came about this time of the year. No, it was around Christmas. And she was, out trying to climb up on stuff and put lights and things up. So she had made this turnaround. She had turned this corner. And so the holidays came, and the family, her relatives came from out of town. They told me they didn't want to see my face because I was there every day. I had been there every day for months. So take a vacation, stay home. And so I got a call, and on the person on her brother said that she had dropped dead in the kitchen. And I asked him, I said, what was she doing in the kitchen? I said, all of you grown people at that house, why was she in the kitchen? And he said she wanted to cook breakfast for the family. And so I said, I wish I knew what she ate before she fell dead in the floor.
Mm-hmm.
He said, oh, I can tell you what she ate. She ate a piece of bacon. He said, and when she ate that piece of bacon, he said, she just dropped dead. He said, and we could not revive her. And so, especially when we have conditions, see, we just think it's a little bit of high blood pressure. We think it's a little, my kidneys, they're not quite working properly. We think I've got this mucus, I've got this mucus, I got this inflammation. We don't understand that the body has enzymes, or should have enzymes. Those enzymes come from a particular place. Every nutrient that the body has, it's 11 minerals. There are more, but 11 minerals that are essential for life. They come out of that topsoil. Now, that soil that God formed our bodies out of, the history actually states that dust of the earth is called topsoil, and that topsoil contained those 11 minerals. Of course, we know much more, but those 11 minerals that are essential for life, they were in that topsoil, because that topsoil was the most nutrient dense soil on the planet. And that is why God used that topsoil to form man's physical body. So the chemistry of our body is that topsoil. It is nutrient dense ingredients, nutrient dense plant chemicals. And we don't get them by eating dirt. Although when I was a little girl in Georgia, we used to go over there and get that red dirt and eat it.
Red clay dirt.
Yeah, red clay dirt. And but we're too sophisticated now. We're too sophisticated now. See, we don't even eat things that grow out of the dirt. Yeah. And so, but it's that dirt, that soil, that nutrient-dense soil that carries everything that this physical body needs for life. That's why God made man out of that topsoil. And so there was a chemical change that took place when Eve ate from the tree that had a death gene. And so in the process of time, she died. And everyone that has come behind her has died, because that was a genetic action. Those are genes and processes. And the further away we get from the garden, from eating food that comes out of the soil, the more sickness and disease that we have. The more sickness and disease that we have, the less energy and strength that we have, the more our generations behind us, our children. I am 74 years old. I have never seen a time when children were dropping dead on the basketball court, on the baseball field, dropping dead, walking down the street. I've never seen that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
haven't
never
either.
seen, yeah, I've never seen that. I've never heard the word Alzheimer's and dementia
Mm-hmm.
came up. Our seniors, they could, we, get on our bike going somewhere. By the time we got there, the senior that was on their way to the same place, they had already walked there. They had got there before we got there because of the strength of their body. And when one of us got sick, I can remember my mother taking me. I was I was a little girl, so I don't remember how sick I was, but I know I had a very high fever. I know I had an extremely high fever. And I know that I was extremely weak. And I do know, had it been today, they would have bundled me up and rushed me to the emergency room.
Wow.
My mother bundled me up and took me a couple of blocks over around the corner to this little lady's house. She got some herbs and whatever else and made up this nastiest stuff I had ever tasted before. Gave it to me to drink. I drank it. My mama took me home. I laid down and slept. And when I woke up, I had no more fever. I had no more weakness. I had no more whatever infectious agent was in my body. It was gone. And my immune system was operating as it should.
Wow.
And that's the way we did it back then,
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I wanted to ask you something real quick.
yes.
I've always wondered at what point Alzheimer's disease began, or we become more aware of it. Would you happen to know? As I was trying to look it up, the only thing I found was it started back in the early 1900s.
And what did you find? What was it saying?
Alzheimer's disease was first described in 1906. Now, I don't know if that's when, it was maybe first discovered or something, but maybe it wasn't until later that, they were able to maybe address it or figure out what it is.
Now, I want you to, this is homework for you.
Ha ha ha.
I want you to, it was discovered in 1906?
That's what this.
Okay. I want you to do a little research into when it became predominant.
Yeah.
And predominant in society. What was going on and what century, what years. And I could tell you, but I want you to look it up, and I want you to look and see what we were eating, how we were eating, and so forth and so on.
Yeah, I got all that homework.
Yeah.
It looks like the 70s, 60s and 70s.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is it. Yeah, that is it.
Food and all that. I don't know. Because, and I think I probably wonder because, at some point it became very prominent.
Yeah.
And that's all that they were linking to, the elderly at that point, and I would always be amazed, like my late father, because now they said that, I see your comment, Apostle Hunt, but they were saying that as far as to eliminate or help prevent Alzheimer's, you do things, maybe crossword puzzles or something like that, or keep your mind, kind of occupied. And I never forget my late dad. That's all he used to do was crossword puzzles. I'm not the ones that you got on your phone, not the electronic. You get the books and everything. And Daddy was always doing the crossword puzzle, and it would amaze me. But my daddy's mind was sharp.
Yeah.
It was sharp. And
Yeah.
so I can see that connection. And I know we probably kind of thrown, well, I guess we're still talking
No,
about
no, that's
generation.
okay because you're talking about it. There used to be a saying, use it or lose it.
Right. Right.
And so if you don't exercise the mind, you're gonna lose its use. The mind, it's a muscle. You know, these we have muscles and different organs and connections and nerves and
Hmm.
all of these things that have to be exercised. It's like laying on the couch or sitting all day and not doing anything
Yeah. Yeah.
and then getting up trying to run a marathon. Your heart muscle is going to fail you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the brain, the exercising of the brain is a treatment for the symptoms.
Mm.
It's a treatment for the symptoms, but
Mm-hmm.
it does nothing for the cause.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
get that. I
So
agree.
let's go
I
back
also
to
saw a difference too when in my dad's later years when
uh-huh.
when he was not doing the crossword puzzles. I saw the difference. I did.
Ah,
I did.
that's good.
Yeah.
That is
Um,
good.
Apostle Hunt said here it has to be connected to diet, and that's what you were mentioning. Uh,
Yes, and absolutely. I can give you a scenario. We had Apostle, you remember this. We had, we put the tent up for 9 years.
mm,
And we had a prophet, oh, what was his last name? He came every year. It's like he suddenly appeared when
wow.
we were putting up this tent, and he would get out there and he would get us hooked up. He would get the electricity hooked up and just all, he was just amazing. We needed him. Prophet, I almost called his name. Anyway, we needed him. Every
Mhm.
year he came and he would appear just when we needed him. And this particular year, he didn't come
Oh,
and no one could reach him. And Dr. Hunt said, Chief Apostle Hunt said, you all go find him and don't come back here without it. This is after we had been days and weeks and maybe even months trying to find him because we had gotten so we would have the tent up all summer.
mm.
And Dr. Hunt said, don't come back here without finding him.
Prophet O.B. Marshall.
That's him, O.B. Marshall.
That was from Apostle Hunt.
Hunt, yes.
Thank
And
you
so
for.
we thank you, Apostle. And so I went over there myself and a couple of the other saints. And we were going around the house, knocking on the windows, we were banging on the doors, we were doing all this. And finally, there was a little house in the back. And that probably, I think, one of his workers, because he did roofing and all of that kind of thing. And I went back there and knocked on the door. I said, we're trying to find Prophet O.B. Marshall. And we've been coming over here for several weeks and almost into a couple of months. And where is he? And he said, he's in the house. I said, he is. He said, oh yeah, he's there. He said, let me go in. And he went, I think, and climbed through the window or something and went in, came around and let us in. And Prophet Marshall said his diabetes was so bad until he couldn't walk on his feet. And that he had heard us come to the door. But by the time he had crawled on his feet to the door, we would be gone because he had to crawl from the back of the house all the way up to the living room to that front area where he could let us in. And so, and his little wife, she had Alzheimer's so bad until she had accidentally set herself on fire. And she had been in the hospital in rehab for 3 months. And she didn't know who he was. Now she was very, you know, she was very amicable. She was loving. She was what? She just was not aware. Her mind, she had no recall. Um, and so I said, well, okay, we're gonna fix this. So I went over every day and I prepared their foods. I threw away all of the meals on wheels. I did. I threw them away, and I prepared them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything was raw. Everything was raw. And I prepared their drinks. No coffees, none of that stuff. None of the fake juice with 100 tablespoons and teaspoons of sugar in it.
Mhm.
None of those things. And so everything they had, it came out of the garden. It came out of the soil, because I always made sure I would say when we ordered the food from Walmart or whatever, I would always say, I don't want hydroponic grown plants. I want food that has been grown out of the soil. I don't want genetically modified, and I don't want a conventionally grown food. I want organic. And so after about I don't know how long. I think I came over about 2 or 3 months, prepared their meals for them every day, all day, and just a wonderful change. Uh,
Wow.
prophet started walking on his feet. They
Wow.
started going for walks, and his little wife, she started, they started going for walks together, and she started talking about people from the neighborhood and who lived there and who lived there and what they used to do and all of this kind of thing. And it was amazing seeing the transformation.
Wow.
And and the transformation was the chemical change that took place in the body, because raw foods, they contain the enzymes that are necessary for all of the processes to take place. So now, what does that mean? The enzymes activate the genes, right? Remember, genes are switches. They're either switched on or switched off.
Right.
Now, the plants from the uh the plants, the fruit from the tree that had the death gene in it, it switched off the life processes, because we would have lived forever. There
Yeah.
was death in us, but we ate from this tree that was not edible. And we were already told, the day you eat, and the day you eat from this tree, the plants from this tree, you're going to surely die, because it is not edible. And so the foods that they began to eat, it contained the chemicals that were necessary to reverse the damage and the disease that had begun in the body.
Good Lord.
That was because plants contain enzymes, and enzymes, they facilitate every chemical reaction that takes place in the physical body. So now let me give you an example. Did you know the human body doesn't make vitamin C? Did you know that?
Right. Learn that
Okay.
from you.
Okay. So I've been talking about this a long time. This
It's good
This
stuff.
frustrates me, because we live in Chicago and it can get 40 below zero in this Chicago. And I asked God, I said, something's skewed here. Why is it that we, the humans, don't make vitamin C, and other species do might make vitamin C. When vitamin C boosts the immune system, vitamin C protects the cells, vitamin C reverses. It just, look it up. So I can stop right there. Just look up what vitamin C does for the body.
Right.
So I said, why? How is it that our body, and why is it that our body does not uh, produce vitamin C? And I was really amazed, because what I discovered was, let me say this right now, the lactone gene,
Mm-hmm.
was switched off.
Mm.
It was deactivated. And so then that meant that it no longer responded to the to the enzymes
Okay.
that were in the vitamin C foods. So those enzymes, those chemicals that's in that food that connects with the receptors of the body and activates the process that the end product is vitamin C. Well, the gene is switched off.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter that the what we need, the activator is still in the food. The activator is there, but the gene has been switched off.
Mm.
And so that's a chemical reaction.
Right.
That's a chemical process. And so think about it. The more we do mindless eating, like Eve did, remember that
Mm-hmm.
that conversation over that meal? The more we have these meals um, with mindless conversations or mindless eating over these conversations, the more genes we switch on.
Wow.
And the more genes we switch off, then as we are reproducing generation, then those, especially if they're germline cells that we are passing on in that sperm and in that egg, it's going to pass on that what is the word that I'm looking for? We always use it when we're talking about virus and bacteria. That degradation, that degening process is going to be passed on to the next generation and the next generation until they get a handle on it and change their appetite. Now, and it's funny because we eat the way, we talk about, generational curses, and we talk about, oh, my mother had it, my aunt had it, my so and so had it. And I usually say, do you eat like your mother ate? You got your favorite dishes from your mother, from your aunt, from other relatives? I said, is it all of you all could not wait until Thanksgiving and Christmas to get around that table? And all of you are passing down recipes from generation to generation to generation. Could it not be that it's not necessarily something that is passed down, but it is a habit that is being passed down that produces the decline?
Ooh, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. I thought mindless eating was deep, but that's deep.
Yeah.
I will admit, if I can interject here, I'm still stuck back at you going to basically minister to that prophet and his wife. They both had different conditions,
Mm-hmm.
but you were able to go and provide them. Um, what do you call it? How do you define it? It wasn't cooked food.
It was raw.
It was raw.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was
Sorry. The word escaped me. But it was raw food that
Mhm.
you prepared for both of them these two individual again with different conditions.
Yes.
So that just goes to show you that, and I think you said something earlier, plants contain enzymes. I mean, that was just one of the things I grabbed, but that's key. You know,
It
that
is.
the raw foods, the making sure you get the enzymes, that's key. And I believe that, you know, I don't know, individuals you may not even been going through. I think the prophet had, I think you said diabetes, and the wife was dealing
Oh,
with Alzheimer's, and as a result,
yeah,
unfortunately, went through, you know,
yeah.
putting herself on fire. But
Now,
you were able to minister to them, and they were, like you said, they were restored. What's
yes.
the topic today? You know, how do we restore it?
Hmm.
And so you were able to do. So she's giving us these examples, and she's giving us the answers in what she's talking about on today. So I think that that's something we need to take into account. You were going to say something. Go ahead.
I was going to say, remember the young lady with the cancer
Mm-hmm.
that when we began, it was breast cancer. And then it became remission. It was remitted. But then because of the foods that she put in the body, they reactivated, they turned on the stem cells. Because now what we have to realize about cancer is that chemotherapy and radiation does not destroy stem cells.
Mm.
And so when we say you're always told that you're in remission, and you're in remission because the moment you put something in your body that switches on those stem cells that are hiding. So cancer cells, viruses, they are called hit and hide diseases or agents. And what they do is they hit, they infect you, and then they hide in the cells. And the reason that the chemotherapy and the radiation does not work is because the entity is destroyed, but it is in a cell. And that means that the cells are destroyed with the entity. And so then many people, they don't make it through the process, the treatment, because you're killing human cells with the cancer or viral cells, because the cancer cell or the virus is inside the cell. They
Yes.
are hiding inside the cell. And so unless you have enough cells to keep your body alive through the chemotherapy and radiation process, you will not make it,
Mm.
because you are destroying the human cells of the body. And so there's a better way. And the better way is really prevention. And the prevention is to eat those things that contain the enzymes, because what we're doing is we're eating foods that are switching off the genes. And the foods that we are eating, um, they cannot they can connect with the receptors, but they cannot switch the genes back on. And that we eat the most. That's why I had, I wanted them to write down. I was going to ask you all what it is that you're eating. I wanted you to see, but I don't want to tell you that because, I'm a sadist, and I just like making you all.
She didn't want to run y'all away, but she was just trying to do something. Listen, guys, let me interject this, as she's was just making mention again on the topic title: what is generational health and how do we restore it? And as you were talking, I'm just kind of thinking, Dr. Hill, we don't migrate to sessions and live feeds such as this. we will immediately go to, our friend's live session, and they're talking about something controversial, or something that's happening in the news, or, something happened with a fan or a sports figure or what have you. But when it comes to our health, we don't migrate to it. We don't sit and listen to understand what could be happening to our bodies, what possibly has happened, or what to prevent from happening until it's too late. And that is something that we have got to change. She's talking about generational health. How do we restore this? This live feed should be blowing up, and we don't do it because, for whatever reason, maybe y'all don't like me, the host. I don't know. I don't care. But you need to listen to what Dr. Hill is bringing forth on a monthly basis, even on her own Facebook page on a weekly basis, or I think she does monthly as well. But the fact of it is, you can find her, you can listen. Okay. And this is a woman of God, and what she's giving us is not something that's going to hurt or harm us, but help us. We should be tagging folks in like left and right. I know y'all got some folks in y'all family, friends, loved ones, neighbors, or whatever, that are possibly going through something physically. Their health may have been challenged. Some of y'all probably at a doctor's appointment right now. I don't know. But we're going to have to take this in and realize how we need to restore our generational health, because it's not just us, it's our children, it's our children's children. It's generational. She's already described and talked to us about. So this live feed really should be blowing up. But go ahead, Dr. Hill.
Well, you said something about time. This is another thing that we think that we don't consider time. And we're not here. The original design was for us to be here forever, disease free.
Right.
But since we interjected the death gene into the process, we don't have unlimited time anymore. Mm-mm. And so the time that we have an assignment. We have to complete that assignment, and we have to do it within the time that we have. Holistic healing, the body healing itself takes time. And you would be so surprised. I have people that call me, when, I don't know how to say this. Usually anybody that calls me, they're in the 4th stage of something. The doctor has said there's nothing else they can do.
Yeah.
But I always say that just because the doctor says there's nothing else that he can do, that doesn't mean that there's nothing that can be done.
That's right.
And so, because the body can heal itself of anything, but it must have time. So let's take into consideration that 4th stage cancer. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You have got to have enough time for the body to go back through the 4th stage, the 3rd stage, the 2nd stage, back through the 1st stage, and then back to 0, the pre-stage, the precancerous stage. And what happens is our friends send us a concoction that they, now I love soursop. When I tell you I love soursop, I love it. When we went to Haiti, they prepared it for us every day. Mm. But cancer is over 100 different conditions. And if you think you're going to take one thing, you're going to do one thing that's going to cover everything, all of the damage that the cancer cells has done in there, breaking into the cell, breaking into the DNA, damaging that DNA, filling the cells, breaking back out of the cell, metastasizing through the body. If you think you're going to take one thing to handle all of that, you are sadly mistaken. As wonderful as soursop is, or any other things, I've got resale. I tell everybody, no, no. If you're not going to change your diet, if you think you're going to feed yourself cancer causing agents and just take resale, I'm sorry. I can't help you. There's nothing I can do for you.
Right.
And so we waste our time running here and there. I heard this, I saw that on TV, I did this, that, and the other. And then when we're out of time, now we want the saints to pray us through. But we're talking about a miracle.
Wow.
A miracle is not a heal. Healing is a process. And last I looked, God's not performing miracle healing miracles for all the saints of God. He's holding us accountable and responsible for our actions because the law says we reap what we sow. And there's a scripture that says in the Old Testament, I believe it's in Leviticus, it says, if you take a detestable thing in your house, or it says, don't take a detestable thing in your house. It said, because if you do, you're going to become detestable like it.
Right.
And so we have all of these scriptures and all of the word that tells us that if you do this, God always said, if you do this, this will happen. Choose, you make a choice, life or death. Which one do you choose? So we choose death. We feed our bodies death genes. We turn off processes and we burn up enzymes because the cells of the body, we got 37.2 trillion cells in the body. Those cells, they produce 1,200 enzymes and cofactors, but that's only enough for living, to keep you alive. That's not enough for living.
Right.
One of the reasons why you have no energy. You're living, but you're alive. You're alive. Your cells are doing their job, but their job is not to produce living. Living comes from the enzymes that are in the plants, the raw plants that grow out of the soil. And when you don't eat that, then you don't get those. See, the plants have the enzymes and the cofactors and the chemicals that destroy the oxidative stress that's in the body from processes that take place in the body, natural processes. And so we don't eat the raw foods that contain the enzymes, but then we go to the gym and we burn up the enzymes that the cell, the little 1,200 enzymes that each cell produces. We go to the gym and we burn those up in the gym.
Ooh.
Or we go out to the restaurant and eat our favorite meal. And that favorite meal has no enzymes in it. And so then the enzymes that the cells produce, because we don't eat enzymes, the foods that contain the enzymes, then that one meal, the body has to use up. God only knows how many enzymes in order to process that one meal. Dr. Hunt did say that the Lord woke him up and said, one meal will kill you. That young lady that dropped dead from that piece of bacon, nobody believes that. So how you going to drop dead from one piece of bacon? I don't believe that. Well, now remember, she had been fighting cancer for years. Remember, it had progressed from her breast. It had metastasized through her lymph nodes, to her lymph nodes, and then to her brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the raw food that we were putting in her body and the enzymes that her cells was making, it was only enough to keep her alive. It was only enough to give the appearance of living.
Wow.
But that was it. That whatever was in that bacon. And see, we never think about the animal. How many infections? What kind of infections did that pig have? How many worms was in that piece of bacon? How many chemicals were in there because they wanted the cat, what is that, a pig? They wanted to fatten it up before they took it to market to make more money.
Right.
And then not to mention the chemicals that they place in it to keep it nice and pretty and fresh looking. And then the glycation that happens that causes cancer when you fry that bacon up. And so then all of that, all of those chemical reactions, all of those processes, and then she didn't have enough enzymes. She didn't have enough enzymes to fight and keep her alive. She only had enough enzymes for the present momentary living.
My God.
That one piece of bacon, it used up all of those other enzymes that I had been putting in her body on a daily basis for several months. But it was not enough because she was not healed. The body didn't have enough time to do all of that was needed to be done to take her back to ground zero.
Mm.
And so then it only took one piece of bacon.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so, yeah.
So unfortunately, that her actions were not where she was restoring her generational health. Dr. Hill, we did ask the question for individuals to place their favorite foods or, foods that they were eating. Now, you had one brave soul. My little niece, she shared her favorites. And do you want to, well, you have been addressing it. Did you want to talk to her? She says chicken, cake, fruit, and chips.
Chicken, cake, fruits, and chips. Okay, so the chicken. Bless your little heart.
Look, now she was brave, but she probably put in the comment section what many are eating anyway, or what their favorites are.
Right. And so this is not you're not doing what everybody else is not doing. What you're doing is what everybody else is doing. And so the problem with meat is that it has to be cooked. And so when we cook it on high heat, it forms acrylamides. Acrylamides cause cancer, which is one of the reasons that we have in our community the highest number of cancer victims, and why the cancer numbers have been going up and up and up and up every year, even though, I wonder which one of those presidents was it that did a war on cancer?
Oh.
He waged a war on cancer, and they started collecting monies to fight the war on cancer, and cancer has been rising steadily and exponential. I mean, the numbers are just astronomical.
Mm.
And so because we love meat, we love meat. We cannot have a meal without meat. Chicken and turkey the holy birds, they cause colon cancer, just like beef and pork.
Mm-hmm.
They cause this is another bowel cancer. They call bowel cancer just like beef and pork. And our meats, they have the fats in them for the animal, this concentrated fat. Then that's where one of the places where we get this cholesterol that messes with the heart and messes with the brain cells and messes with the breast cells and everything, all of the fat cells in the body. And so we're talking about, so then we have the cancer in the fatty tissue that's in the body. And we love the meats that cause the concentrated conditions in that fatty tissue. And that contains the chemical that produces the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's your chicken. And so then we add with that chicken. If we add with that chicken, you said cake and chips and
Fruit.
what was the other? Fruit. Fruit is wonderful. And I know you don't eat enough fruit, but it's a wonderful thought. But fruit should be eaten alone. So then now we're talking about food combining. You should never eat fruit with anything else other than fruit.
Mm.
And that is because um the process that it takes to break down fruit is like that.
Okay.
It takes about 15 minutes for fruit and vegetables. Raw fruits and vegetables are called zero. Oh my goodness, what are they called? Um, in other words, they almost have zero calories, zero cholesterol, zero bad sugar. All of the things that's in the other foods, you don't find it in raw fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
And so that's why, because when you want to lose weight, you can do it by eating raw fruits and vegetables. You're supposed to have 14 a day anyway. And so then when you take out all of the stuff, like the things that you name, because we know that sugar, that cake has got loads of sugar in it. And that sugar feeds cancer. Um, and it raises the cholesterol. And depending upon the number of coloring agents and all artificial flavorings and all of those things and the quality of the flour that is used, you got a conglomeration of some really toxic stuff there,
Mm.
including your potato chips.
Well, okay. All right. All right. Hopefully that helped. All of you that are listening and watching. We're not just singling out
Oh no.
Latoya because she shared, and I actually applaud you for sharing.
Thank
But
you. Thank
yeah,
you.
right. Yeah. But yeah, this is something that definitely we need to take in. Let me just recognize a few people before we get off of here, and then you can maybe wrap us up with something, Dr. Hill. Kelly Nelson, thank you, my girlfriend, for joining us. Janine Harris, thank you for coming in. If I can interject this, guys, please continue to pray for my friend Janine Harris. This is the young lady whose son has been missing. We want to keep his name and his face out there. Tyler Weathersby. We are still praying that God will send him back home, restore, and just bless and give the family peace. So we're praying for her. Thanks for coming in. Mother Whitfield, thanks for watching. Alvin Carter, thanks for watching. I didn't know Dr. Paul. Thank you. You're on. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming in. Janice Pritchard, Monique, Foltz, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you. We did mention Apostle Hunt, and I'm scrolling back up, and I think I have one more person here. I just appreciate you guys for coming in. Apostle Laguerre, thank you for watching on today. Yeah, we talked about you earlier in the segment that Dr. Hill um, featured on last week, and your part in it, and we thank you for that. Dr. Hill, do you want to wrap us up with anything today? This has been very informative, talking about generational health and how we should restore it, how we need to restore it, because yeah, who wants to be sick, right? But we need to take the proper steps, and you have given us more than what we need, as far as information is concerned, to be able to do just that. So if you can wrap us up with something on today.
Yes, ma'am. If you believe that everybody has to die with something, then you're going to die with something.
Ooh.
That is a lie from the pit of hell. Everybody does not have to die with something. Everybody chooses to die from something. The choice comes from, it's the same choice that was given to Adam and Eve. Um, you can choose the tree of life, or you can choose the tree that has the death gene in it. Don't eat it, because in the day that you eat it, you will surely die. The purpose of this tree, this here, its design, its purpose, its genetic structure does not give life. Don't eat it.
Mm.
And then this over here, eat this and live. Now, most of what we eat does not give life. If it has no enzymes in it, or if it did not come out of a garden, out of a ground, which means it's not genetically modified, it's not conventionally made, it's not what Mendel did. The first thing that Mendel did, scrambling up the genetics of the plants.
Right.
If it is not what God said it was in the beginning, then you are going to deconstruct your body. And that's what disease is. Disease is a deconstruction of the genetic structure of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you live forever, and the way that you pass down generational health, the way that you restore generational health, is to go back to the garden, to go back to those foods and eat them the way that God made, because they're the only things that contain the enzymes that connect with the receptors on the cells of the body to produce the processes that the body needs to live. When you don't eat those things that contain the enzymes, then the body begins to deconstruct. It begins to deconstruct. And then we call that disease. We call that sickness is the symptom, the disease is the process.
Yeah.
But the body with time can heal itself of anything.
Love it. That's a good wrap up right there. So we keep that in mind, guys. It's not the end. Uh, your body can heal. Dr. Hill, thank you again for a wonderful segment. The information that we have here that you've given us, we appreciate you and all that you do here for Mind, Body, and Soul with Annette. Somebody's grabbing it. Somebody's grabbing a hold of it. They are. Your work is not in vain. So thank you again. You guys go visit her website. Let me make sure that it is shown. Look underneath her name, MoPhethns, MoPhethns.com. MoFaith Nutritional Services. You can contact her for consultations. I refer so many people to you. You can also get to her. You can purchase her products, resell products. She has a plethora of things that you can take advantage of on her website. So make sure you go and visit her. You maybe want to ask her something that you didn't get a chance to ask here. Go ahead and book that consult. Talk to her. Maybe there's some situations going on that you didn't want to share here, and that's fine. But go ahead and make sure you reach out to Dr. Shirley Hill. She is more than available to be there for you. And thank you all again for coming in Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and watching your comments, interacting with us, and those that will come back later. Make sure you listen to it in its entirety. I'm quite sure that you will be blessed. Again, Dr. Hill, thank you. We're going to get out of here. Cannot believe we are like at the end. We're pretty much at the end of the year, if you will. We got 2 more months left in this year. Wow. 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 Wow.
Can you give me half a moment? I'm sorry for interrupting you. I did not say Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's is coming up. When you prepare those meals, take into consideration that there is someone that is going to be at your table that is at a place where one meal can kill them. And so you need to prepare your meals with everyone that will be at that table in mind.
That's good. That's good stuff. And don't think she's being harsh, because if you look at some of these commercials where they're promoting the different medicines for diabetes, I remember one distinctly, Anthony Anderson, I think that's the actor. I believe he deals with diabetes, and he comes on and he talks about, well, what if you are laying, he does different kind of scenarios. And the last one is like, if you die, he's like, is that too, much for you? He said, but it can happen. He's promoting medicine. Dr. Hill is promoting, our health here and natural. She's natural food hygienist. So listen to her, instead of putting all this stuff in your body. There's a way that your body can heal itself. She just said that. So make sure you take that in. Hey, be kind to your guests that are around your table. If we can say it as simple as that. So we're going to get out of here. I was mentioning that we're at the end of October. So next month, we'll have more new guests. And then, of course, we'll have Dr. Hill back. Now, we want to make mention, I don't do this. If you notice on my social media pages, I don't get off into politics. I just don't. I have my own opinion, my own thoughts. I know who I have voted for, who I'm standing behind and supporting. But I do want to encourage you that if you have not, please make sure that you vote. This is crucial. The stage that we're in now, this world is in a crucial position. And it is important that our voices be heard. So there are many of you, and I get so excited when I do see you posting that you voted early. Some are voting by mail. Some are doing absentee ballots. Make sure that you vote. Make sure that you make sure your ballot is right. If I can say all of that, because there's so many things that are happening around us, but make sure that your voice is being heard, and it's being heard accurately, and what you want to be heard. I've seen individuals, they voted and then their votes are changed some kind of way, but make sure that you follow up. Make sure you follow up. So next Tuesday is the last day that you can vote. So make sure you take advantage of that. We're voting. Our ancestors, came before us, and many of them lost their lives. They were sacrificing so that I would be able to vote, so that you would be able to vote. So let's take advantage of that and not just say, oh, I'm not going to vote because da, da, da. No, you need to vote. You need to vote. All right. This is our right. And something that we need to take advantage of. So we know, again, that next Tuesday will be the final day that you can vote. And we're just praying. We're praying, that God will be glorified. We are. I am planning to have, I'm trying to get everything together, some individuals to come on to talk about after the election And it may or may not be next week. It may be the following week. But we'll talk about that and where our country is heading. All right. So again, I'm just encouraging you guys to vote. I'm going to get out of here because, guys, I can talk too much sometimes. Sometimes I can. All right. But I do appreciate you for joining us and coming in. We will see you soon. It'll be another time for you to come on and get caught in the net. Take care, guys.
Get caught in a net with